swag vibe, baby.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, where we explore the journey of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. One story, one conversation, and one step at a time. I'm your host, Joe, creating a safe space for honest discussions about the challenges and triumphs of addiction and alcoholism. In each episode, we'll hear inspiring stories and uncover tools that make healing possible. Sobriety is not a one-size-fits-all journey, and you don't have to face it alone. Recovery is possible, and it's worth it. Thank you for joining the Cup of Joe Show. Now let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, of course, Joe. And before we get started, I just want you to know if you're out there and you're struggling right now, you are not alone. So please don't suffer in silence. I'm really excited to talk to my guest today. It's Larry F., originally from Elizabeth, New Jersey. And for those who don't know, I'm originally from New Jersey too. So Larry and I have that in common. Larry's been sober since May 15th, 2004. He's a father, a sponsor, and a man who's built a life rooted in connection, service, and a higher power. After finding a new way to live through the Big Book and working with others, Larry discovered that recovery isn't just about staying sober, it's about living. Whether it's helping sponsees, hiking, or talking with his higher power by the ocean with a cigar in hand, Larry has found a rhythm of sobriety that's grounded, steady, and real. I'm really looking forward to learning more about his story, so grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. Hey, Larry, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for the invite. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, man, I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. And what was it like growing up, Larry?
Well, yeah, you know what? A lot of times I want to add some crime and some felonies to my story to make me sound like this really tough guy. But it's not one of those stories. I'm just one of those low self-esteem, cowardly drunks. And I say that, you know, my family, there's a lot of Latinos in this country, but my family is one of the first ones that came in about 65 years ago. Not a lot of people spoke Spanish. So my parents already felt a little bit out of place. And I was one of the only Spanish people in my school. But I mean, my father worked hard to get me to a Catholic school. And, but I can tell you that, you know, I say this, I didn't drink regular. I did drink during kindergarten, like 5, 6 years old. But I didn't drink regularly since kindergarten, but I should have, because I did feel like I was broken and out of place. Something's not right. And people throw the word out, functioning alcoholic. I was a performing alcoholic. I performed to make everybody happy, people please them, manipulate their feelings, just something so that they would like me. And it's very tiring to make a performance for everybody in the room at once. And I can tell you that, though, my first time I ever had a drink, my family's from Colombia, South America. And so we have these parties in Jersey. And I don't know if you remember this yourself, but in the winter, there's a coat room. And so you go to a house party, everybody throws their coats in this one bedroom, and it's stacked high with coats, and everybody's in the other rooms drinking. So us other little kids, 5, 6-year-olds, we run by the tables, and there was little glasses full of little colored liquids that looked at eye level. I thought they were for us, right? So all the kids would drink that. All the other little kids would pass out into the coat room, but not Larry. I would actually walk out onto the dance floor, dance with the older ladies, and they would say, "Wepa, wepa," you know. And so already I reacted differently, although I'm not going to say that I was an alcoholic at that time, but I did act a little differently than everybody else. And like I said, all my life, I've been struggling to find that sense of ease and comfort. And so I didn't necessarily drink from kindergarten until 12 years old, which is where I really found drinking. But if you look behind, well, I'm a nerd. I collect. I'm a comic book guy. I like movies. You know, I play Pokemon, not the Go thing. I play with the cards and all that, you know. So I'm a nerd. And I escape through my books, through my movies, anything to get away from Larry's life, right? And so I've been looking to escape, trying to make myself fit in. And sports kind of worked. But there's something in the background that was running in my life, and I've had to make peace with it. And sometimes I never get back around to explaining this. no matter what I did, my father criticized me. I was a almost straight A, but 1B. And my father's like, why did you get that B? I was a star baseball player and I'd get a double and he'd be like, if you ran it out, you probably would have had a triple. And so all my life, I feel that onus of not being good enough. Somebody's going to tell me I'm not doing it right. And so I'm always uncomfortable. And I can tell you that, people say remove your people, places, and things, remove everything. I'm 3,000 miles away from home. I changed every person, place, or thing, but that voice is in my head still telling me you're not good enough. You're not good enough, and so I can tell you that, like I said, I didn't drink necessarily right away, but at 12 years old, this is where I found what really I liked about alcohol, and is that at 12 years old, there was this thing. I don't know if like you guys did this when you were young, but I said, I'm going to my friend's Eric's house. Eric's going to George's house. George is going to Larry's house. And we all ended up at our other friend Cap's house who had no parents, right? And we're at that house and we're 8th graders, and the really cool freshman boys and girls, those beautiful freshman girls came in and they're hanging out at this basement party. And everybody, and I remember having to steal beers to bring here, right? So my father was a very frugal spender, and he would buy whatever 6-pack was on sale, and he didn't drink it right away. He would take like a week or two to drink these beers. He's a normie, right? But I would steal a beer every 1 or 2 weeks, and I'd hide it in the attic. And I hide another 2 weeks, hide another one in the attic, until I had like eight beers of all different brands, and I would carry it in a bag to this party, right? And all of us are carrying beers, and what happened that day, my friends drank, got sick, passed out, but not Larry. I kept drinking with these freshmen, cool kids. And I remember them patting me on the back saying, Larry, you're cool. And that saying in the book, sense of ease and comfort, I have arrived. And that's what I've chased all my drinking career. And honestly, to say, my drinking career, there was a lot of good times in the beginning, like I had a lot of fun. I danced better. I talked to the pretty girls better. I even shot basketball and pool better, even with the crooked stick and the crooked table and my crooked eyes, because I'm drunk. I shot better, and so I had a lot of good times drinking in the beginning. It's just later at the end, I became a blackout, and I didn't drink every day. I'm not that kind of guy. I made it to work. I didn't miss work. Sometimes I'd be up all night. I'd change my tie and I'd go into work the next morning, popping aspirins and drinking coffee and make it through the day, but I would wait. I'm a weekend. I even said the word weekend alcoholic, social alcoholic, but I had no idea what that meant. I'm not one of those guys that came in the rooms knowing he was an alcoholic. And so but I was a blackout. I eventually became a blackout drunk. And a blackout drunk, I used to think was the guy fell down in the corner and just gurgled. No, I'm the blackout drunk that drives drunk. I hit on people's wives. I usually didn't get in fights. I'm a loving guy, like I was always trying to get lucky, and so I'm not out there trying to. And so if I woke up with a strange girl, that was a good night, but usually I could get a girl's number because I was drunk, but the next morning on a matchbook, that's how old I am, right? We got digits by writing them in the matchbooks. And then the next morning, I'm like, I don't remember who she was. What did she look like? So, and then I'm not drunk anymore, so I can't call her. So, my drinking career went along and I survived it a lot. And I think it's because I kept my job, but I moved. I think by now I've moved 3,000 miles away from home, every geographic. Again, I didn't know these words while I was doing it, but I was looking for a new life. I need something different. I need to get away from whatever's bothering me. I've lived in Ohio for a couple of years. I lived in Miami. I've lived in LA. I was always looking for somewhere to be the right place. Change will be the different. This time it'll be different. And find myself drunk. And I'm again not bad, not too many bad stories. I kept a lot of my friends, and I even have mom and dad still with me. I still talk to them. I haven't been down those roads all the way yet. And but one day in May 2000, it was actually May 13th in Costa Mesa. I'm driving because all of us, I don't know, we drink, and after the bar closed, we want to go eat. So Denny's is only 3 blocks away, right? And they pulled me over for tinted windows, air quotes, right? And when I opened the window, they're like, "Whoa, how much have you been drinking?" And that's all I remember. I have to read the police report after that. 0.028 or whatever it was. It was bad. And all I was doing was driving it down the road. And I am so grateful for that night because I didn't know that was going to open up a whole new world for me. So yeah, I'm the basic. Call at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. I love you, man. That kind of guy. That's the kind of drunk I am. I just drive drunk. The walk of shame. Like I don't remember where I parked the car last night. I remember walking out of my place in Anaheim and seeing this line in the concrete and looking from my car. And then I see this line in the concrete. I'm like wondering what that is. And I follow it. I'm drove on the rim for I don't know how long that I kind of dug up into the asphalt. But there's my car right down there. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's crazy some of the things we do, and it's in the way you said it's like people think like blackout drinker, like every time it's like it's some you end up in different states, so you end up in but truth is you just end up in a different place. I remember blacking out, and I ended up in a bar, and I'm sitting in a bar ordering drinks, and I had no idea how I even got there. It's like we just. But you mentioned a couple of things. One, I have to say my a shout out to my bonus kids, Ethan and Emma, who are both part Colombian. So you said your family's from Colombia.
My family's from Colombia. I was from Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You guys have that's they'll love that. They'll love that. I got to tell them. So really drinking wasn't like a big thing in your family, like not in your immediate household, right? So it wasn't,
Yes, mom didn't drink, and dad would drink on Saturday night with his tumbler of whiskey, and maybe he'd refill it once. And he would get a little buzz on, and he would lecture me. And he would lecture me and give me advice that I, as a teenager or whatever it was, did not want to listen to. And I think about this now, I laugh about it. First, he was right about most of our advice. I don't want him to know that he was right. You think that parents don't know. And so when I got my DUI, I laugh about this in a way. My sister always thought I was the golden child, right? I'm the oldest kid, and she's 10 years younger. And I see her as the golden child. I never was allowed to sleep over anybody's house. I'm never allowed to go to a concert. I was very kind of protected, because I'm the first child. She was allowed to do all these things. Cool older brother that got to chaperone her. She got to do all these things I didn't do. But she finally thought I got knocked down a peg when I got the DUI. And so I had to call my dad. I told everybody except my dad, but I had to tell my dad. Basically, I was thinking I'm going to tell him or prove to him, give him the proof that I'm the screw up he always thought I was. And when I told him, he just stayed quiet and he said, all right, son, what are we going to do about it? And he accepted it right away. And they actually flew out from Jersey to help me drive to steps class, what we call, those 12-step classes that the BMV makes you do it. And what I didn't know this whole time is in my house, there was a frame that had a prayer, beautiful calligraphy, writing and all that. And it was a Serenity Prayer in Spanish. I had never paid attention to it all my life because his two older brothers, were alcoholics. And my father used to 12-step call him into bars. He had to go drag him out of the bars all the time. So he had more experience with doing 12-step calls than I actually did, And so obviously, it runs in the family somehow, but I don't know, everybody talks about the genes and the hereditary, and maybe because you're Colombian or you're Catholic or whatever reason you have that you're going to drink. I don't know that it matters because my mother and father didn't drink. My sister doesn't drink. I'm the one that got this. But, maybe my sister should take it for anger management. But, it doesn't matter. I don't know how this skips a generation. I don't know what that means. I chose this path in the beginning, and then I lost the choice. I no longer could choose not to drink anymore.
Was there any time, like during that time, Larry, that you thought maybe I got a problem, or were you kind of oblivious to it, I guess?
You know what? I honestly think sometimes that I got lucky. I have good friends that took care of me, and I had money. I took a lot of taxis. I took a lot, and that stuff might have made me stay out there longer, you know? But yes, there was embarrassing moments. There's times people would say, you don't want to know what you did last night. You know, those conversations, it's embarrassing. So I always was trying to figure out a way to control and enjoy my drinking, right? And I also say I'm a recovering Catholic. So every Lent, I would try to give up alcohol, right? And 40 days, just 40 days. And eventually I couldn't hold out for 40 days. So then I shifted it, I adjusted it. How about no hard liquor for 40 days? Well, I found out you can get really drunk on beer only, you know, and so it's funny. I didn't drink all the time, but there usually needed to be something that would change my headspace, my feelings.
So you get to you got this DUI in May. So this is May 2004. Is that when this happened, or is this?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what do you're going to 12-step classes, and your parents are are kind of helping with that. What clicks for you? Like what changes for you?
There was a lot of fear. I normally drove a company car. Obviously, I didn't get the DUI during the company car, else I would have been fired. And I had a great career as an engineer. I'm a wireless engineer. And I had to go tell my boss. And I started telling him, and he goes, Larry, I don't want to hear it because I don't want to know. Just get the job done. Because, you know, at those days, you got your license suspended for a month. 4 months later, you can apply to get your full license back, but you can work with in those 4 months, you can work. What happened is, again, I've been blessed even when I didn't know about this, but my coworkers and stuff always, hey, Larry, I think we'll go with you to this place. We'll go with you to that place. And they kind of helped drive me around for those 4 months to bridge the gap until I got my license back. And so in the meantime, like you said, I go to, I don't know what you call it, over the steps class, task class, whatever it was, the DUI classes, and they make you fill out that DUI card, the invitation card, the kitchen pass, whatever it is. And so I walk in, I got to go to meetings. And I mean, I don't know what's going on. The steps counselor was actually one of us, and she was pretty good. She had like 30 something years, which made no sense to me. 30 years without a drink at the time. And again, I don't even think I'm an alcoholic. I just bad luck, tinted windows, and, inconvenient policeman is what the problem is. And so I end up going to meetings in Anaheim, and it's actually a tough little crowd, this place called 202 Broadway. And I go in, and all I had to do was get my court card in the basket, and they would sign it. And everybody died to share. So I never had to say anything. I just sat there in the room and got my court card signed, got out. I don't even smoke cigarettes at the time, so there was no reason for me to even talk to anybody, right? And then, but every once in a while, you have to say your name because they make you announce yourself or whatever. And I made the mistake. I said, my name is Larry. I'm an alcoholic. I would mumble it, right? I'm an alcoholic. And I'm sorry, I don't know. You can beep this out later. But those guys would say, are you a fucking alcoholic or not? And I'm like, whoa, stop yelling at me. I'm very sensitive, right? And so it's took me a minute to find out what that means. I didn't know what it meant to be an alcoholic. I said it because they yelled at me, and I didn't want to be yelled at. And it took me a while before I finally, and then I had a watch on at the time. Those guys would say, you got a watch. You're never going to stay sober, right? I had a polo shirt, got a car. Mom and dad still talk to me. They're like, you're never going to stay sober, buddy. And so I didn't think I was an alcoholic. Now, I kind of told you I didn't feel like I fit in the outside world, and I drank. And this is a line that's stolen, and I'm sorry, you can beep out again. I drank to be prettier, wittier, and tittier, right? I want to be taller. I want to look better, bulletproof, all that stuff. I drank to fit in outside. But now I'm in the rooms of AA, and everybody has really tough stories. There's traumatic events. These guys have bad stories. And here I am with, I call people late at night and I tell them I love them. I don't have a good story. So I didn't really want to share. And thankfully, I sat around and they say get a commitment. I had to do the glamorous job of ashtrays. And I tell you why we do these little funny things. Like I'm cleaning the ashtrays, but everybody gets to see me and they walk in, they don't even know my name, but they'd smile at me because I look familiar. And they would smile at me and they would smile at me because I'm there cleaning ashtrays before and after. And I started feeling like I fit in a little more. It's okay being here. And then I finally started sharing. And then the first time I shared, I think like 3 pretty girls, older ladies that are all dressed up all nice came over. Oh, Larry, thank you for being on. And they're like, you should find a sponsor. I'm like, can you be my sponsor? And thankfully they said, no, go find, because I wanted what they had, right? And so I'm grateful they pushed me to a man. And a lot of times when I'm going to be telling you stories right now, I say sponsor. I've had many different sponsors over time, and I clump them all under one name just so. But one of my sponsors originally. So I'm getting chips at Anaheim, right? I got the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, and over there they stopped all the way to 6 months. So that I was flying in those first 3 months. I'm getting chips every month. I'm having a good time doing my steps. I'm taking care of business. I'm good. And man, that was a long from 3 to 6. And the whole time I'm listening to people, I sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. They're saying, wah, wah, live and let live. Wah, 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 one day at a time. And useless platitudes, right? Think. Then I got my 6 month chip. And now I got to wait till 9 months. And it killed me from 6 to 9. I'm not drinking, but I have no solution. And I've heard everybody talking about the big book. And the whole time I thought they were talking about the Bible. I did not know that there was a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. So they said, get a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and get a sponsor. And that's ridiculous, man. Sponsorship was another tough thing to talk about. I felt like I was asking out a girl, which I could never ask out a girl without drinking enough. But I'm asking a man to be my sponsor, and I'm like stumbling. Hey, will you be, like I'm stuttering as I'm trying to ask him. And he tells me, yes, Larry, but you have to call me every single day. And I was like, wait, I'm a macho Latin man. I don't call anybody every single day, right? And he goes, Larry, are you that selfish that you won't call me and get me out of my problems and save my life? Are you going to tell me you're that selfish? So I call him every day because if he dies, it's my fault, right? So he tricked me into calling him every day, right? And but what happens is most days it's like, hey, man, how you doing? I'm doing fine, good. Okay, hang up. But I got used to calling him. And he knows when I'm not calling him, or I can call him when I'm not feeling good. It got us into a habit that, it's stuck with me. And I don't necessarily call every day now, but I check every once in a while in case my sponsor, I don't want him to die on my fault, But he got me into doing that. And then he tells me one of the first things that I almost fired him right away. But the reason I asked him to be my sponsor, this guy was Ecuadorian and he had a Spanish accent. And whenever he shared, all the girls would giggle. And I said, and I'm sorry for being crude. You can adjust this later, but he would be like, this guy would make the girls giggle. I'm like, that guy's going to help me get laid, right? And so I asked him to be my sponsor. And then he goes, Larry, no, you for the first year, work on yourself. Take care of yourself. But he goes, Larry, you're so sick, you're going to have to wait longer. I'm like, heck, come on, man. I already had a dry streak before coming in here. Now you're telling me I got to wait longer. And but it's funny how what you think you're gonna get is something totally different, But so I've done a lot of stuff. He finally started doing the step work. I finally, and it took me a long time. I don't recommend waiting that long. And here's a life hack, because I know I was waiting for the perfect sponsor. Like I was looking for the perfect sponsor, and that meant everybody was failing my test. So I'm not asking anybody. I tell these to people, newcomers. Go ask for a temporary sponsor until I find someone better. Go say, hey, can you be my temporary sponsor until I find someone better? My last temporary sponsor that I asked for, I've had him for over 8 years, So he's temporarily my sponsor for 8 years. And but it's a way to start the work because there's no reason to wait,
So for those maybe who's listening, Larry, and don't know, how would you describe a sponsor? Like how would you describe a sponsor for someone who's maybe new or doesn't really know kind of our terms,
Good point. So one of the things I say is I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm an engineer, right? And so I can read. And so you hand me a book on how to fly a plane. Do you want to be my first passenger? You know, you need a mentor that has experience on what I'm reading and how it really plays out in the real world. So yes, I can read the words, but I might not actually know what it meant or how it's used or how it's applied. And so sometimes, so we need somebody who's done this before to show us. And that's how complicated I'm going to say it's. They say simple, and there's precise. The book says precise instructions. And I know a lot of people talk about our program being suggested, but the book has the word must all over the place. And I don't even know how to read must one way, that you have to do this work. And but somebody shows me, and I say shows me, I say tour guide, because, and I have sponsees now, which we'll get to eventually, but I have sponsees and I say, I want to be your tour guide, but this is your experience getting closer to a higher power that works in your life. Don't let me rob you of your experience. That means all the book work we do, the actions you take, the prayers you take, meditate, pen to pencil, pen to paper, any amends, whatever it is you do, all that experience that's transmitted out of the big book is meant to make you believe that your higher powers got your back, and so I needed a sponsor to help me go along that journey.
That was really, yeah. No, that's awesome the way you put that. And I appreciate, it's you brought up, if I handed you a book on how to fly a plane, would you fly? And I was like thinking like, I don't know how long it took me to realize that, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is actually a textbook. It's a how-to book, a how to get and stay sober, and when I was first introduced to it, probably in one of my tours of duty in rehab, I just thought it was just old words, old people saying old words. I had no idea that it was, it really is a textbook. And when it was explained to me that it's a textbook on how to get and stay sober, it made more sense. It's the way it's written. But anyway, I digress.
No, I mean, and everybody thinks it's a self-knowledge download. And to me, it's a textbook with practical applications. So you have to apply. And there's another version of it. You know how people talk about faith without works is dead. Willingness without action is fantasy. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have heard those things, but I have a creator that makes universes, but if I want to lose weight, I got to step back from the kitchen table. If I want a job, I have a higher power that can do anything. But if I don't put the applications in, so that means I have to do some work. Same with, you have to get into the work. I say, I could read a book on how to swim, but so eventually I can't learn by being on the carpet. You have to experience jumping in the water, and hopefully you have a lifeguard around to help you, right? So you learn, yes, but somebody might be able to show you a little better, again, a tour guide, a mentor,
It's really, the way you put that's really well put. So what was the hardest part about getting sober?
In the beginning, it's just, I don't know, I did not have to go through the withdrawal so much. It's just, but the feelings, true or not, catch up with me. So I used to drown out feelings by going to blackout. And now I got nothing. I tried things like overeating, going to gamble or something. I haven't tried oversexing yet, but you try different things to do. I'm a workaholic. I try to work a lot because I avoid life, and those are stopgaps. Everything I just said, there's a lot of half measures in the book, and people take out of context in life. Like, yeah, I can go to the gym and get endorphins, but eventually you're going to be hit at 3 a.m. when there's no gym open. I don't know. I've heard people use, play the tape forward. Remember the last drunk. Remove people, places, and things. I'm telling you, I removed every people, place, and thing. I try to play the tape. None of those have a higher power involved. And I'm grateful that I found out, especially if you do a step one. This is my pitch when it talks about going into the book. Page 103, 102, 103. Nobody should believe what I'm saying right now. I'm making you go check this, right? This is my way of getting you in the big book. 102, 103 is the end of step 12. The rest of it is to the family afterwards, employer afterwards, whatever. But 103, and if you start at the doctor's opinion, which I hope you do, which is a bunch of Roman numerals, 113 pages for all 12 steps. But according to the first 100, we are 100 men and women who have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Those guys have step 1 about 40 to 50 pages, 40 to 45 pages of those 113 dedicated to step 1. 2 through 12 use the other 55 pages. And I'm using fuzzy math, but you can find out most of it is set to convince you of step 1, which means you are effed if you don't find a higher power. You cannot do this on willpower. You know, the allergy, eat a peanut. If you're allergic, go use your willpower, use your PhD, use the love of your child to stop what happens next. Nothing stops it. The problem is I'm insane when it comes to I have to drink because I cannot stand the spiritual problem, which is I love the bedevilments. Again, this one I do know, page 52. When I was drinking, I'm miserable, depressed, I'm unhappy, I have problems with personal relationships, I'm useless. But I'm not drinking. I stopped drinking. Guess what? I have problems with personal relationships, I'm miserable, depressed, I'm full of fear, I'm unhappy, I'm useless. I have the same things. I need something sufficient substitute. And I need to find a higher power because I cannot take those feelings for too long. I don't know why I'm built weird, but I cannot handle that. I will have to kill the pain one way or the other. And so that's why we keep going on with this book to find a higher power to help me with all that.
So how did you find that higher power? What was that like? What was that surrender, I guess, or moment like, I guess?
It's I don't know when the moment was. I can tell you that it's eventually you look back and you see some of the things you go through, or you know what? I can tell you this. There's a day that, so you get through whatever it is. You got your friends, you got your sponsors, you get whatever happens, you get through things. Sometimes I feel like I'm scrambling through things, but I make it. But I remember one time in sobriety, I don't know how many years, I got laid off. And everybody came up to Larry. They came up to me. I don't know why I'm calling myself in third person. But anyway, they came up to me, Larry, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay? Because, macho Latin men, sometimes men think they identify as their job. This is all I'm good for. And here I am laid off. The truth was I was at peace. I'm like, I'm fine. I got no problem. As a matter of fact, I'm a single dad at the time. Have my home, and I got laid off, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna? I already planned. I'm starting to think that I need to start collecting cans and bottles and figure out what I gotta survive with. But I was at peace because I believed I was gonna be okay. And I'll tell you that I had 3 months off. In those 3 months, I became Cub Scout leader for my son, Boy Scout, baseball coach for my son. I got to hang out with him. And I have severance, unemployment, and then 3 months later I got another job that paid more. I made more money that year than I had ever before, and experiences like that. In the big book, it talks about my higher power has to show himself. And it sounds cocky or arrogant, but my higher power shows himself. He proves himself to me so that I know he's there. And so he took care of me through that. He's taken care. And now that I look back, a lot of times he's taking care of me, but it's usually it's retrospect. I have to look back on these things.
No, that makes sense. I mean, we don't necessarily see it when we're right in the midst of it, and I was talking about this the other day. My old sponsor, Mike, he would always be like, I didn't think my program was working, or it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't, whatever. I was still kind of, crazy. And he would just go, did you drink today?
Yeah.
No. He said, your program's working just fine.
Yeah.
Because we forget really, the basic of all of this is so that we don't have to take a drink to solve our problems, or
we want more.
Drug. Yeah. 100%. So how,
I've heard that saying.
What's that? Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard that saying where sometimes everything went to hell that whole day, but I didn't drink, so it's okay. But I really don't want to do those kind of days that much, right?
No, and the good thing is we don't, I think, as we get some days behind us, we don't have as many of those days. But I can still, one of my friends he calls it he used to call it pole voting over rat turds. He said, we are, he said, we are notorious, for overreacting to life, and that's why we need this higher power to help bring life into perspective, and it sounds like you're doing that for sure. How's your view of like addiction changed over the years? You've been sober now 20 some years,
21 years.
21 years. So
well, usually when somebody asks me, I say all day.
We're tied for first place for sure.
I don't know. I was up at 5 a.m. to play pickleball. So can you beat that? But
you got me. Your perspective on addiction or alcoholism, has it changed over the years?
It's a lot of subtle changes and different meanings. The big book they call it a living document. And a lot of us read chapter 3, chapter 5 in the beginning of a meeting. It's the same words over and over. You get some people say, haven't you figured it out yet? But I always find it funny that I feel like I've read that a million times, but one line sticks out more, right? Because it's applying to me today. And so I feel like a lot lately has been more about the subtle change or awareness of where my higher power is and what part he affects my life with. So, for example, have you ever heard that story? Put your slippers under the bed, so when you wake up in the morning, you have to kneel down. But see, I'm so twisted that I get down on my knees to get the slippers, and I'm like, look, God, look what I'm doing. You owe me, and so that's not humility. That's not humble. When we talk about step 6 and 7, humbly ask him, that word humble affects me differently. I talk to my God standing up in the bathroom, wherever now, but there are times I get on my knees only because I am really telling you, I know, and I'm sorry I call my higher power God just because I'm lazy. It's less letters, but it's just me acknowledging that he's got the power. I don't. And I'd like to give it to him and let him manage this, and so everything I do, people say, just accept what's going on, work on acceptance. But the Serenity Prayer says, God I me. It doesn't mean push really hard and hope really hard and work really hard to accept it. I'm asking higher power, help me accept this. I pause when agitated. I don't have the power to pause until my higher power lets me pause. And now I can respond instead of react, because I normally react. The 7th step says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Doesn't mean I work really hard on fixing my shortcomings. So everything I really am now, and people probably hate it in the rooms when I talk about it, but I look at where any solution does not have a higher power, it's probably a half measure. And I got to remember that I can't do this on my own. And so that's where I kind of am now. And I'm really blessed that I have sponsees. That's the next phase after you do your step work. But I have sponsees that remind me of all these steps all the time, because I'm at various stages with them, and they think I'm helping them, but little do they know they're helping me.
And that's such an important thing, when it says we talk about carrying the message. Carrying the message is carrying those 12 steps to hopefully have someone else be able to find a higher power that can help with not taking a drink today, and so much more. But
so much more.
we try to keep it, I guess, simple in that way. What's a typical day look like for you now, besides pickleball at 5 a.m.? Then what?
Well, yeah, pickleball 5 a.m. Then I'm right now I'm unemployed, right? And so I am actually, financially trying to make it work. And somehow my higher power still lets me. I'm unemployed, and I say I'm blessed that I have Netflix on 3 TVs, right? I have food in the fridge, I have gas in the car. But a lot of days, most of my days right now looking for work. The girlfriend just moved, so I'm kind of closing up her apartment. So I feel like I'm always busy. I try to, then in the middle of the morning after pickleball, I try to take I call it a manly bubble bath, because I'm old. I got to have an Epsom salt bubble bath, or else I'm not walking well. Catch a noon meeting, I'm doing more job hunting and doing what I have to do. Sometimes I meet sponsees in the evening, but I teased, but my old sponsor he had like a factory. So one guy would come in from 12 to 12:55. In those 5 minutes, the next guy walked in, and that guy's from 1 to 1:55. That guy gets out 2 to 2:55. And I'm like, man, I'm never going to do that. Well, now I load up my Sundays. I got 5 sponsees there. I got 2 during the week. I meet with my own sponsor. Saturday, I leave for myself. And that's my day to do whatever I have to do. I like hiking, and I got a whole bunch of hiking parallels with 12 steps or 12 with recovery. So, I'm busy. Being unemployed, I don't know when I'm going to have time to go work.
Yeah, I love that. But that's the cool thing is, and you have a smile on your face, and it's not, it obviously there's not, you're looking, you'll find it, it'll happen when the time comes, and that's peace, that's serenity, that's a beautiful thing. What are some of the
surrendered? They call it.
Yeah.
Somebody told me the other day I'm surrendered, and I didn't even know to name that. Excuse me. I didn't know that was a description of what I was feeling. So my friends are panicking for me, and I'm like, so here's I don't know, I guess a way I look at life nowadays. Everything I have is borrowed. My higher power lends me it, right? Even my son, and my son has to have his own experience in the world, because I want to control him. Maybe I lose the house. Maybe I lose the cars. Maybe I have to move to a small apartment. Maybe I have to dig ditches. I don't know. But either way, in the meantime, today, I still have Netflix on my TV. I still have a place to sit right now with a TV camera. So for now, I'm fine. And that's why, focusing on the present keeps me surrendered, and I'm okay. If he wants to take it all back tomorrow, I don't want him to, but I don't know. Maybe.
It's that saying of, stay where your feet are, where are your feet, and that's a big deal. Staying in the moment right here, right now. There's, my favorite acronym for fear is, forgetting everything's all right, and that's, I love that.
But that's a good one. I don't think I've heard that one.
You're welcome, Larry. Feel free to use that one out there. And
I think they say if you use a saying 3 times, it's yours.
It's yours. Then you own it. You don't have, yeah. Listen, everything we know and everything that I know, let me say this, everything that I know has been borrowed or stolen from somebody else. And I'm grateful for it. I really am.
Everything I'm saying is the 5% I didn't forget. I forgot the other 95% of the important stuff. This is the 5% I'm telling you that I remember.
Absolutely. So what are some of the other, like, the best things that have happened to you, in sobriety?
So, well, a lot of the miracles I've had, let's see what I'm sharing. I like to talk about, how I don't know what's good and bad. So for example, I told you that my DUI was the day I proved to my father how the failure he always thought I was, right? And I didn't know that DUI was going to get me the court card that got me into the rooms that provided me a whole new life, 2 lives in 1 lifetime, right? So looks like crap became gold. I also had baby mama drama, right? Beautiful girl. And I had broken up with my fiance from Brooklyn, and I'm living in California. So I just want to have a fling. And I told her that. And we were having fun, but then she tried to trap me with a kid. She got whatever reason, right? And I say it like this, and now I'm a recovering Catholic, and I said, I don't want it. Let's have an abortion. Let's have an abortion. And she tried to trap me with him. So it looks like something horrible. That little boy is the greatest blessing of my life, you know? And I mean, I say little boy, he's 25, taller than me, you know, he's a big boy. But him and I get along. We're nerds together. I tried to get him to play baseball, but he's more a nerd, you know, like me. We go to movies together. We have comic books. We play card games together. He's always calling me to talk about the newest anime. I'm freaking blessed. How many 25-year-olds want to talk to dad like that, you know? I'm friends with baby mama, and I can't believe she wanted to go get married to someone else. How dare she? And she married someone else, and she had more kids. But I'm friends with baby mama and her husband. Now I'm friends with those kids. As a matter of fact, you know, I always talk about some amazing changes. When I first came to the rooms on Christmas, I would send my son to her house because she had grandma, there was family, and I would go to the bar and drink. My son is 25, I'm only 21 years sober, right? So I would go to the bar and drink, and I'd raise my glass and shots to everybody, drink to my son, and we'd all get hammered, right? Then I'd come in the rooms, and again, Christmas, I remember sending my son to grandma's and mama, baby mama, and her new husband, how dare she, right? And send him over there because at least he can have some fun. And I would sit by myself at home over whatever, Big Mac meal and watching movies, sorry for myself. Then eventually I'd load up with meetings, hiding in the meetings. And then eventually baby mama and her mom, not my grandma, her mom, come hang out and sleep on their couch so that I could wake up and watch my son and his other brothers and sisters open their toys. Not only that, baby mama's husband, she loves, by the way, she hates it when I call her baby. Anyway, we're on the ground, him and I, trying to put toys together for all the kids. That's not the script I would have wrote when I came into this room, right? It's a script that my higher power wrote that I could not come up with. And, you know, we're all friends. We want to raise a family. It's a village. Now, they moved to Texas. So, I mean, a long time ago. And so my son and I were alone for a long time. And, but I don't know where he gets this from. He loves his brothers and sisters. He brings them over one by one and takes them to Disneyland. We take them to Disneyland. But I mean, talking boys and girls, they trust me with all their kids. You know, he has 9 kids altogether. Mine's one of them, right? And so all those little kids come over here and hang out with single dad, you know, like it's a crazy little situation, you know. Gold from crap to gold, you know, those are scripts I could not have written. So I sometimes say, I don't know what's good and what's bad. You know, what looks dark is actually kind of bad. It could be a silver lining, you know. I'm going to throw in a story that's for me. It's, I got to do Mount Kilimanjaro. I hike a lot. I try to hike a lot. And I don't know if Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest point in Africa. And I remember, you know, I just decided I was unemployed. I used my savings and I said, let me go do something crazy. So I fly to Africa, get the visa, and I'm with a crew climbing and freezing. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And the last summit day, there's hundreds of people at the gate that start. And every day, I don't know, multiple people are quitting. I had a team of 6 with 25 porters. You know, they have porters that come like Sherpas, but they help us climb up this cold mountain that rained all the time. We're struggling to make it up the mountain. And on summit day, I remember going up this mountain and I say, there's a lot of higher power in it. It was one of my moments that I love living life. Every step was hurting, right? I can't breathe. We're start at 15,000 feet and we're going up and it starts snowing really hard. And I'm like, what am I doing this for? I could turn around. This is higher than I've ever been before. And at midnight, it became Christmas. I'm going up on Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. And I could hear people, the Sherpa, whatever, the porters, they got lungs. The rest of us barely can scream. We're like, Merry Christmas. And I'm like, all right, I'll go for a little while longer. And I'm going a little longer. And I'm starting to lose hope. And I start doing one of those things like, I don't know if you've heard of it, but I did 3 steps at a time. I was like, I can't, he can, let him. I can't, he can, let him. And I got into that mantra for a while, right? And then when I finally was about to give up again, one of the porters that doesn't speak English well, he didn't talk to us much. He starts singing this beautiful song with this baritone voice, and he made me cry. And the tears froze on my face because they said they had not seen a snowstorm like that in 20 years, right? And again, we're making it a little higher, a little higher. Keep going. Can I make it a little higher? We get to this ridge, and there's a peak of sunlight, the rays of the sun, man. Just another piece of energy, right? Like, all right, I can go a little more. Let me go a little more. And as we go a little more, one of the porters comes out with a little hot tea. He brought tea up. He carried tea in his bag. And I hate tea, but my God, that was the best tasting tea I've ever had in my life, right up there at the top, almost at the top. And we get to the summit. Man, I don't know what to tell you. The harder the climb, the better the view, and again, I say the mountain, I didn't conquer the mountain gave me permission, right? And I didn't change the mountain, I didn't conquer the mountain changed me. I started one person, I came down a different one, and that experience got me so appreciating. I saw things, glaciers, wind currents, snow. It was amazing experience that. And that's what they say, like you can climb, there's certain ways to climb the mountain. You can go up a million different ways, but the tour guide usually knows the softest way. And that's why I was following those hiking sponsors to avoid the pitfalls, to get to the top, to see something that most humans don't get to see. And that's my recovery. I get to see things most humans don't get to see.
Man, that's pretty powerful, Larry.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
By the way, I got a tattoo of it too, man. I had to go Mount Kilimanjaro tattoo.
Oh, look at that. That's really cool. For those, you can't see it at home, but it's real. It's real. It's
I have an arm of bucket list tattoos, Mount Whitney, Half Dome. And then this is nerds. J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, tattoos, a dragon, I'm nerdy.
Yeah. My wife and you would get along very well, Larry. Let me tell you that. It's
That's awesome, man.
So is there anything you wanted to talk about that we haven't?
I don't know. You know how it is. As soon as we hang up, it's like, oh man, we should have talked about this. Still talked about that. But I mean, to me, it's the program is, I always, there's a lot of little things, a lot of little cliches that maybe don't get out much, or my friends are tired of hearing it, right, in the meetings, because I have the same jokes everywhere. You're hearing them for the first time. They're tired of it over here, right? And like I say, to me, this journey of recovery, like I'm in Bakersfield, I have to go up over a mountain, go down into LA so that I can go hiking, right, into those mountains. But if I drive along the freeway and I look down, all I see is McDonald's bags and wrappers and litter and pieces of tire. It's an ugly road. I believe I've done the work, and I have a higher power that lifts my chin just a little bit. And just by him moving my chin up, now I see clouds coming over green mountains. Sometimes I see beautiful trees and forest and plain and grass. And it's the same road, but my experience is much better than the other one, That's how my sobriety is. I'm living the same life, and nobody else had to change, because I was trying to fight everybody and everything, trying to make them follow the script I didn't give them, and they don't follow it. They don't act right, and my life is getting messed up. Thankfully, I have a higher power that changes a lot. You know how we drank? I drank to make the world better. I have a higher power that makes the world better without anybody else having to change their life. That's magic. That's freaking magic, man.
Yeah, it absolutely is magic, man. It really is. And thank you so much for sharing your story and your sense of humor. And it means a lot, brother. It really does. But I can't let you go without doing our rapid fire questions, Larry.
There's more. Can we not mess this up?
We'll be just fine. We'll be just fine. So
right.
if you are ready, sir.
Ready or not?
All right, here it comes. What is your favorite recovery slogan?
It's going to be bad. if you come to AA to get laid, you're gonna get fucked.
What is your least favorite recovery slogan?
That one too. Actually, no, I half measures. I guess like play the tape forward. That one bugs me because they think you can use your mind. I can't fix my own broken mind with my broken mind. So if you're depending on your mind, then you're in trouble.
What do you think is your sobriety superpower?
I think honestly, I like to think I can make people see a different side of it. You know how the 4-step makes us realize our part or a different view. A lot of people get convinced, and especially in today's world, that theirs is the only right way to see things. And I'm like, sometimes there's another way to look at this, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying maybe take a look at it, and I think I've been able to be, and I say it in a tactful way instead of a challenging way.
I like that. If you could say one thing to your former self, what would it be?
Honestly, I wish I had done the 12 steps when I was 12 years old. I don't know, or other than buy Google stock. I wish, there's so many people in the world that could get a better life by following 12 steps. That's why I'm grateful. My higher power brought me into this room and gave me this problem so that I could find this way of life. Otherwise, would I have found it? No. I would have been depending on myself, so I don't know what I would have told myself at 12 years old, because if I would have told myself not to drink, this might not have worked out. I might not be here.
What song do you play to lift your spirits when you need a boost?
Well, songs, I'm one of those guys that I don't listen to lyrics, which people get annoyed with. And so I listen to all kinds of music, but it's the energy. So I like hard rock, heavy metal. I like death metal and all that. I just don't listen to words. Well, actually, my favorite, I guess, because my Jersey days, is like EDM music, electronic dance music. So it's that stuff that has no words or whatever it is. It's just high energy and lifts my spirits. But I do have a favorite movie that if I am personally down in the dumps and I need to get better, don't judge me, macho Latin man that I am. It's a French movie called Amélie. And now I think I had that on reset, on cycle, whatever it was when I first got sober. It was a feel good movie that it changed my mood, But so does coffee, like us Colombians. See, that's me trying to sell coffee, help my cousins in Colombia.
Let's see okay. If you could grant yourself one wish to help with your recovery, what would it be?
See, messing with my recovery as it is right now, I call it the fourth dimension. I'm content with my problems and my wins. Messing with that balance in any way. Like they say, I don't know what is working and what's not. So I just keep doing what I'm doing, And so, yeah, sure. I wish maybe I'd done the 12 steps earlier in the rooms, I guess, because it took me a while, but it took what it took, I am blessed that I am still here. I'm one of those pure alcoholics. I didn't really try the other stuff yet. And I have not drank since I came in here. So this is my first time in AA. Relapse is not part of my story yet. But if I do go out, everybody makes cocaine and meth sound romantic. So I want to go try that. I'm not coming back because I had one beer. I'm probably going to try this other stuff. So either I'm going to get baby powder or talcum powder because I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm going to go straight fentanyl and die. So I don't know.
Let's hope neither. Yeah. What step do you love the most?
Honestly, I think the whole program, that's a hard one. But I'm going to go first 6 and 7. And because 6 is I'm willing to have my higher power work on what my issue is, something that I have objective with. But the whole setup and process is built on steps 1, 2, and 3. I cannot beat alcohol by myself. I need a higher power. get them to help me. That's what 6 and 7 is, like a recap of it. I cannot beat my character defect. And as a matter of fact, what I really love there is that I don't even have to know my character defect. Everybody likes to think, yes, I'm entitled, people-pleasing manipulator. But no, I ask my higher power to get involved with the fear, because fear kicks off my character defect. I retaliate with my mouth or my arms, my fist, when I'm afraid. But if I can get my higher power to get involved with the fear, then I don't have to react, and I can respond. And I can act differently, ability that I don't have. I am not a sponsor by nature. I'm not a good father by nature, but I've been doing it for so long because of my higher power let me. I am a good sponsor. I am a good father, But I guess I'll add this little note. People talk about maintenance steps, but it's not maintained. To me, that's the growth. So all this program, 4th step, 5th step, I'm delusional about what I think. My broken mind is delusional. And that doesn't, like they say, denial, don't even know I'm lying. No, denial, that saying is wrong. Denial means I'm trying to loophole something. The delusion means I can't even see what's wrong. I am blind spotted. The only way it's going to come up is if my higher power shows it to me. Once he shows it to me, then I can ask him to help me with it. But there's things even now, 21 years later, that take away from my happiness and my spirit, and I can't see it. So I have to ask my higher power, hey, what am I missing? So I think that's a big deal. It's a subtle, big depth in that maintenance. It's not maintenance, it's growth.
So what step do you love the least?
I guess, no, man, every step is good. The one that was easiest for me maybe is 2. Because like I said, I'm a recovering Catholic. I think my higher power, that Catholic God, said, you ain't getting it. Let me send you to AA so you can figure it out, and then AA sent me back to my religion, right? But no, all of them have such importance. Everybody talks about 8 and 9. They hate doing it. But I find freedom in 8, and I'm right-sized in 9. Because in 9, I have a twisted view of myself. And I think I'm either a white knight or a piece of garbage. And when I started making amends to people thinking they're going to blast me, and they're like, no, Larry, I didn't see you that way. You were a loyal friend. Or no, Larry, I didn't break up with you because you were bad. This is going on. And so I might not really have a good view of myself. I don't have a good perspective of myself. And so that's what those steps are. So I don't know. I didn't answer your question. I don't have unless you want to talk about 13 stepping.
We'll leave that one.
By the way, do you know what the 13th tradition is?
What's that?
The 13th step, there's 2 of them, right? The real one is when you die sober, you go to heaven. That's what I call the 13th step. But then there's the one in the rooms that's funny. 13th step is preying on a newcomer, right? Boy or girl picking on the newer person. 13th, sex with a newcomer, right?
Right.
So that's the 12th step, 13th step. What's a tradition for? Protect the group. So 13th tradition is group sex.
Oh boy. I should have known, Larry. I should have known it was coming. So we'll end on this one. Following that, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I don't know. I'm not going to limit him to what he wants to say, but I have a question for him. I feel like somewhere around 23 years old is when I crossed the line. Maybe 21, 23. And I wonder, I'm curious, hey, God, could I have backed out? Could I have stayed a heavy drinker and not become an alcoholic if I had stopped at 22 years old? I'm just curious. It's just a curiosity question.
You may get the answer someday, Larry. You may get the answer, man. Thank you so much.
Hopefully a long time from now.
Absolutely. You and me both, my friend. And yes. I love sharing our Jersey roots and the things that we have in common. So it's been an honor, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Man, time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And now I'm in the mood for a Jersey pizza.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, and for the
And
rest
some
of you
cannoli.
all, and a cannoli. Yeah, we need one of those. But, and for the rest of you folks out there, if this episode meant something to you, share it with one person who needs hope today. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps this message reach someone who's still struggling. A new episode of The Cup of Joe Show drops every Thursday at noon. You can listen anytime at thecupofjoeshow.net or on any of your favorite podcast apps, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Just search for The Cup of Joe Show. Don't forget the "the." And if you're looking for your daily encouragement in recovery, subscribe to our friends at the Daily Ponderables, your inspiration and strength straight to your inbox every morning. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share because someone out there needs to hear this today. Have a good day, everybody.
It's just a laid-back vibe, baby.
We hope you enjoyed today's Experience, Strength, and Hope. We are so grateful you decided to join us. Please share this episode with someone who might need it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, no matter where you are in your recovery journey, you are not alone. Reach up and reach out to someone. Please do not suffer in silence. Until next time, let's take it 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day at a time. Thanks for listening to The Cup of Joe Show.